Dwayne The Rock Johnson has denounced his support of Joe Rogan, and in today's video, we're going to be getting into why The Rock decided he wasn't going to support Rogan after all. Let's get right into all the details that we know so far about this move, as well as other UFC news that's making rounds. First up, The Rock denounces his support of Rogan. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is no longer backing Joe Rogan after a video of the UFC commentator using the N-word went viral. Earlier this week, Rogan took to Instagram to post a 9-minute video addressing accusations that his podcast JRE was spreading misinformation concerning COVID-19. The longtime UFC commentator admitted that he enjoys having interesting conversations with people that have differing opinions and admitted he doesn't always get it right but is promising to do better. In response to his video, Joe Rogan garnered support from a number of notable personalities, including Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Johnson had publicly praised Rogan's response to a growing Spotify boycott triggered by the dissemination COVID misinformation. Also over the weekend, Spotify deleted about 70 episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience. Company's chief executive, Daniel Ek, later said it was the host's decision to remove them after the racist slurs were broadcast. However, after the video of Rogan using the N-word on multiple occasions during previous podcast episodes went viral on the internet, The Rock quickly denounced his support on Twitter. Grammy-winning R&B singer India Ari added fuel to the controversy when she shared a viral compilation video of Rogan using the N-word on his podcast through the years. That caused an about-face from Johnson, who said he was unaware of the situation before it was brought to his attention by author Don Winslow on Twitter. He thanked Don Winslow for bringing Rogan's racist comments and consistent use of the N-word to his knowledge, calling the backlash he received due to supporting Rogan without researching his narrative a learning moment for himself. Along with his use of the N-word, one of the clips that was posted showed Rogan comparing black neighborhoods to Planet of the Apes. Following on from these clips emerging, fans altered The Rock as to what was going on, particularly considering he just offered Rogan some supportive words on Instagram. As the situation continued to unfold, Rogan again took to Instagram to address his fans, admitting that the situation was the most regretful and shameful thing he's had to publicly speak about. Rogan did say that the clips were taken out of context, but admitted that his views on using the N-word have changed since those initial podcasts were recorded. Now moving on to other UFC news that has been circling the block. Sam Alvey puts UFC career on hiatus. On Saturday night at UFC Vegas 47, Sam Alvey's winless skid hit a nearly unheard of 8 fights in a row. Fairly or not, Alvey has become somewhat of a poster boy for the UFC's uneven treatment of their roster. Every time a fighter like Kevin Lee gets cut after a few losses, people point to Alvey with his 0-7-1 record and ask what form of blackmail Smilin' Sam has on UFC brass that keeps him around. Well, it seems like this latest defeat, a second-round RNC loss to Brendan Allen, has pushed Alvey to pull the plug himself, at least for now. In a social media video, Sam insisted he wasn't done fighting but would take a hiatus to sort himself out. Next, Bobby Lashley explains why he's retiring from MMA. Bobby Lashley has long been one of pro wrestling's biggest stars, but there was a time when it looked as though he would find similar success in MMA. Appearing on the MMA Hour on Wednesday, the new WWE champion talked about why he decided that it was no longer feasible for him to continue competing in MMA despite winning fights from major promotions like Bellator and Strikeforce. Lashley last fought in 2016, ending his pro fighting career with a 15-2 record that includes a 5-0 mark inside the Bellator cage. Partnership with Bellator worked out well as Lashley was allowed to compete for the promotion and also pursue pro wrestling bookings. That flexibility would not be possible in the UFC, and Lashley pointed to that as the main reason for why he never made the walk to the octagon. Up next, Gordon knew Bondor's arm was broken before gruesome injury ended fight. Malcolm Gordon knows that he did what he had to do, even if he isn't boasting about it. The Canadian flyweight won his second straight fight Saturday at UFC Vegas 47, earning a first-round victory over highly touted newcomer Denny Bondor. When Bondor suffered an arm injury in the first round, referee Mark Smith called for the stoppage less than 90 seconds into the fight, resulting in a TKO win for Gordon. At the evening's post-fight press conference, Gordon told reporters that he actually broke Bondor's arm with a submission attempt before the fateful scramble against the cage that revealed the injury. When asked to go over the sequence of events in his his mind again, Gordon was clear in saying that he definitely knew Bondor's arm was broken when it happened. Next, Hermansson reacts to his loss against Strickland. Jack Hermansson's going the artistic route to discuss his latest loss. The Joker dropped a unanimous decision to Sean Strickland on Saturday at UFC Vegas 47 in a main event bout that was light on intensity. On Sunday, Hermansson posted a rhyming poem on Instagram to address the fight and to apologize to his fans, Strickland, for his performance. The last line Hermansson wrote was a lighthearted reference to Strickland's own admission that he has experienced homicidal thoughts in and out of the octagon. However, outside of a few brief moments of impassioned trash talk, Hermansson and Strickland's 5-round fight was mostly civil. Now, Strickland's coach wants judge dismissed after mind-boggling scorecard. Sean Strickland's head coach, Eric Nixick, is flabbergasted by the scoring in Saturday's UFC Fight Night 200 main event. The Extreme Couture trainer saw his student get his hand raised in the middleweight matchup with Jack Hermansson, but not before one judge scored the fight against Strickland, making for a puzzling split decision result. Although the other two judges managed to get it right, Sal D'Amato turned in a dissenting scorecard, 48-47 in favor of Hermansson. The reaction was a widespread confusion about how he could see the fight that way. Nixick says he doesn't understand either. He criticized D'Amato in the aftermath of the event and cited MMAdecisions.com, which is a site that tracks media scoring, where not a single outlet had the fight for Hermansson. Next, Bellator signee Pat Downey explains call-out of Khamzat Chimaev for wrestling match. Pat Downey has made the decision to transition from the wrestling world to the MMA cage, but there's still a short list of competitors he'd love to share the mat with, including surging UFC contender Khamzat Chimaev. Downey recently signed an exclusive deal with Bellator to compete in the promotion's middleweight division. The former USA Wrestling World Team member and NCAA All-American is preparing to make his eventual MMA debut in 2022, but recently revealed his wrestling wish list should the opportunity present itself. Those names include David Taylor, Jordan Burroughs, and Bo Nickel. On top of that list is Chimaev. With his sights set on a new career in the combat sports landscape, Downey, who is currently training at the Goat Shed Academy in Miami, says that if it were up to him, he'd have his Bellator debut at the event's upcoming card in Dublin. Lastly, Volkanovski is disappointed to not end the chapter with Holloway, but says his fight with the Korean Zombie is personal. For UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski, the saga between him and Max Holloway is one that is seemingly never going to end. Despite being up 2-0 in the series, Volkanovski was tentatively scheduled to face his Hawaiian rival for a third time on March 5th at UFC 272 before an injury dropped Holloway out of the planned matchup. Volkanovski's next title defense instead shifted to an April 9th date against the Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jong, at UFC 273. This is a move that ensured Volkanovski will be forced to continue thinking and hearing about Holloway for the foreseeable future, just as he has since their rivalry first began in mid-2019. Once Holloway's withdrawal was official, Volkanovski said his top priority was simply being able to find any sort of replacement that made sense. He'd hoped to have a busy 2022 after fighting only once in each of the past 2 years, so keeping his March 5th date was his first choice, but ultimately he had to work with the options available to him. The team then settled on bringing in the one-time title challenger Zhang for UFC 273. Zhang and Volkanovski also have somewhat of a contentious history, stemming back to Zhang's pursuit of the belt prior to the Ortega fight. So in Volkanovski's eyes, the bout checked all the right boxes. That's all for now, folks, but we'll be back with more interesting videos. To stay informed about the MMA industry, keep watching our videos. Tell us whether or not you think Rogan issued a statement just as to save face as opposed to actually being apologetic by sounding off in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe before leaving. Signing off.